Hello everyone, this is Douglas E. Welch with the latest episode of What Douglas Dug, highlighting some of the neat things I found in my internet travels for the garden. For more information, you can always visit A Gardener's Notebook at douglasewelch.com/AGN. Starting off today, we have a very interesting way of creating something very pretty for the home out of something that might otherwise be thrown away. And you'll find that that is actually a theme for this week's episode. This is making coasters out of natural branches. In the case of this story from Garden Therapy, there was a very much beloved tree in the neighborhood that had to be cut down, and the neighbors gathered and picked up pieces of the wood to use for various purposes, and this person turned a small branch into coasters. In their case, they simply sliced off half-inch thick slices of the limb, and then they went on to both stain and varnish the slices to be used as coasters in the home. At the very end of the article, they mention that you don't necessarily have to stain and varnish them, that leaving the wood untreated actually works as a condensation absorbing surface. It will actually suck up the water that comes off of our drinking glasses and such, and can actually have its own unique style of beauty. Regardless of which way you do it though, I think it'd be a great thing to do for your own home, or perhaps even give away as gifts to friends and family. Here's another recycling tip, and I'm sure you've seen plenty of ideas just like this one, which is reusing packaging from the grocery store or other stores as seedling containers. This one is very well thought out, as it utilizes a couple of major waste products in most of our homes, including paper towel rolls, toilet paper rolls, plastic containers that vegetables and other foods come in, and combines them all together to make a very nice seed starter. In this case, you simply slice up the toilet paper or paper towel rolls, put those in the bottom of a large plastic bin, and what I specifically liked about this tip was you can use another container of the same size as the top to hold in the moisture and humidity while the seedlings are getting started. Oftentimes we'll throw a Ziploc bag or a piece of plastic or whatever over top of our seedlings, but combining two of the same containers together makes for a nice little mini greenhouse. There's also examples of using found containers like this ball jar container, which just so happened to turn themselves into a perfect little seed starter when you combined the cardboard insert and the plastic container. It's been very, very hot here in Southern California, and in fact, if you've been watching the news, you know it's been hot everywhere. And our container gardens can really suffer, whether you're growing decorative plants or trying to grow fruit like tomatoes and other food plants. You'll need to keep your containers moist. Well, here's another way of doing that, one that lends itself to new containers. Basically, that involves taking any large plastic bottle, such as a 2-liter soda bottle, juice bottle, or whatever, slitting it or adding holes to it, and burying that in the garden soil of the container when you first set up the container. You could do this afterwards, but it's going to take a little bit of digging to get the bottle down in there. What's going to happen is when you fill that bottle with water, the soil is going to act as somewhat like a wick, and it's going to wick the water out of the bottle more slowly than if you just put water directly into the container. On these hot days, you know that if you just water on top of the soil, a lot of your water is lost to evaporation. Others might run out of the bottom of the pot because the soil can't absorb it quickly enough. I really like this idea of slow watering. I use drip and soaker irrigation here in the garden, and I also have done a little video of my own on another method of using recycled bottles in your container gardens to water them slowly. In fact, you'll see in this Pinterest post that I did, my wine bottle container waterer video. I hesitate to call it a tip at all, because basically all it entails is taking your old wine bottles, filling them with water, inverting them into the pot, and you get a little plug of the soil up in the neck of the bottle which acts as a wick. So the water just doesn't drain out all in one glug. It actually slowly gets down right to the roots of the plant where it can do the most good. If you've got containers in your garden, I highly recommend some supplemental watering like this. It seems to make my containers a lot more stable because of their exposed surface area, especially if you're using terracotta pots. And the fact that they're out in the direct sun, they can dry out very, very quickly, oftentimes without you even noticing it. So having a slow watering system like this, or like this plastic bottle actually inserted in the soil, can really help to keep your containers nice. And moving along again with our theme of recycling, how many of us have broken terracotta pots in our garden? I'm sure most of us do, and typically the only use we can make for them is as drainage hole covers in the bottom of other pots. Well, here someone got very creative and they found any pots where they had broken and still had a rim available on them and perhaps a little pot shard underneath that would fit into the soil. They simply labeled them with the names of various plants and herbs and used them as plant markers in their garden. What a great idea. It's on theme. It's a garden themed plant marker. It's easy to write on. It's easy to insert in the soil, and it makes use of something that you might otherwise simply throw into the bottom of a pot or even throw away or just grind up for gravel in your driveway. One of my Pinterest people that I follow hates to throw away anything, much like myself. Here was a ladder from their great-grandfather that was no longer functional. You couldn't use it to actually climb on anymore. Part of the ladder was broken, and so what they did is they converted it into a vertical planter. They designed various planter boxes that they built, attached to each step, and then they can lean the ladder, in this case the half ladder, up against any wall and grow their plants vertically. If you have a particularly small garden, you know how important it is to move vertically rather than horizontally. You just don't have that much space in a small garden, but growing up can be a great way to bring decorative plants, food plants, anything that you like into your garden even more. The vertical element is also unexpected in most gardens, and so it really makes a striking statement when someone visits your garden and you've got plants growing at a vertical way as well as horizontal. It really looks nice, and what a great way to reuse a family heirloom. I love farm supply companies. I always feel there's such possibilities, even for a city farmer like myself, when you walk in there. And here's a great idea how to use some supplies which you would find at your average lumberyard or farm supply store, and that's by using a cattle panel. A cattle panel is this wire fencing that's easily put up to make cattle pens. Well, in this case, this gardener has gotten very creative in using these cattle panels vertically as a trellis archway. Imagine what you could grow on this archway. Sweet peas, any sort of climbers, clematis, whatever you like. You could even think about growing cucumbers or some other food product up and over this, and it still allows you access to other parts of the garden. You can actually walk through it. I think this is a great way of using very, very common materials to create something that could be very, very beautiful in your garden. Does take a little bit of work. They talk about in their article about breaking a shovel trying to get these posts into the ground. They hit some rocks and stuff. But I think with some, depending on the soil you have in your garden, you probably have an easier time with it. The fence posts can be driven with a simple sledgehammer, and then the metal ties are just used to tie the cattle panel to those posts, and away you go. This one has me quite intrigued, and I have some areas in my garden where I can actually use something like this. I have a Kaleidostoma vine that needs a new archway, and I keep coming back to this picture thinking, perhaps I could use that for my part of the garden. We'll see. If I do that, I'll make sure I highlight that. I'll do some videos and I'll do some photos for a Gardener's Notebook blog. To end our show today, I want to highlight a few of the things that I do each month. One of the things I like to put out each month is desktop wallpapers for your computer, your iPad, other tablet, your iPhone, or other smartphone. In the month of July, it was this beautiful sunflower picture that I happened to take at a local community garden. I really thought it was striking. The lighting was just right, and it filled the whole frame. I thought it was very, very pretty. You can download these directly from the website. You'll find a link in the description for this video. And again, they're pre-prepared and pre-sized for your PC, for your iPad or other tablet, and for your iPhone or other smartphone. So you should be able to simply click on them, download them to your device, and add them as your background wallpaper. Last month, in the month of July, actually for this month I should say, in the month of August, it's this lovely morning glory picture that I took just a few days ago here in my own neighborhood. Well, that's it for this episode of What Douglas Dug. I hope you found it useful. I hope you found some new ideas that you can use in your garden. You can follow all of my shared items. These are all the things that I happen upon that I find interesting enough to share on all of my social media accounts. You'll find links to all of them on the website, douglasewelch.com/AGN. They're right here in the sidebar. You can follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on Facebook. We have a lovely Facebook page which gets a lot of traffic. You can follow me on Google+, and of course you can follow me on Pinterest. Until next time, this is Douglas E. Welch. Keep digging.